Boy Meets World was always associated with more than just a family sitcom, with innocence, with Friday nights on the couch, with a world where growing up hurt, but there was always someone there to tell you exactly what you needed to hear. A wise teacher living right next door, a best friend who seemed to come out of nowhere and stay forever, a strange girl who became the love of a lifetime. But the stories behind that show sound almost too unbelievable to be real. Did you know the show's leading actress publicly revealed her cancer diagnosis while continuing to record episodes of the podcast that captivated an entire generation? Did you know the star of the series stopped speaking to the rest of the cast without ever giving an explanation? And that even in 2026, no one seems to know exactly why. Did you know the man who played the wisest teacher in American family television just turned 99 and still shows up at fan conventions? These are the real stories, the ones hidden behind the laugh track, Mr. Feeny's life lessons, and the halls of John Adams High School. 7 seasons, 158 episodes. A show that became the backbone of ABC's Friday nights for nearly a decade. Number 1. Lily Nixay as Morgan Matthews. Let's start with the one who disappeared before most people even realized she was gone. Lily Nixay was born on May 15, 1987, in Pasadena, California. She was just 6 years old when she began playing Morgan Matthews, Cory's little sister, in the very first episode of Boy Meets World in September 1993. Small, funny, and naturally charming in that effortless way that made the audience laugh without her seeming to try. But here's what almost nobody remembers. Lily Nixay was the original Morgan. She played the role through the first 2 seasons, and then, by season 3, something changed. There was no announcement, no official explanation. At the start of season 3, a different actress was suddenly sitting in the same seat at the same breakfast table. Her name was Lindsay Ridgeway, and Morgan Matthews just kept being Morgan Matthews, as if nothing had happened. That kind of switch happened more often than viewers wanted to admit in 1990s television. Child actors were often treated as interchangeable pieces. If they grew too fast, or if producers wanted something different, they were replaced. No fanfare, no goodbye. After Boy Meets World, Nixay stepped away from the spotlight and studied at the University of California, Berkeley. She built a life away from sets, away from fame, and away from the 90s nostalgia conventions where some of her former castmates still sign autographs. In 2026, Lily Nixay is 38 years old. Few interviews, very little public presence, a life deliberately chosen outside the camera's gaze, which is the exact opposite of what many former child actors do when they want to be remembered. The first Morgan Matthews, the one who never got an on-screen goodbye, the one who simply disappeared from one Friday night to the next. Number 2, Lindsay Ridgeway as Morgan Matthews. She arrived without anyone expecting her, and she left the same way. Lindsay Ridgeway was born on May 6, 1985, in Northridge, California. She was 8 years old when she took over the role of Morgan Matthews in season 3, quietly replacing Lily Nixay without explanation. She was the youngest Matthews child, the one who popped into the kitchen, said something funny, and disappeared. But when she was on screen, you noticed, Ridgeway appeared regularly from season 3 through season 5. She had a natural comic energy that the show knew how to use, including the recurring joke that her own parents constantly overlooked her, one of the series' most memorable running gags. By the final 2 seasons, when the show shifted into the college years, Morgan simply stopped appearing. No goodbye, no storyline resolution. She just slowly faded into the background until she was gone. After the show, Ridgeway kept acting in smaller projects for several years, then gradually stepped away from the industry. She has maintained a much lower public profile than many of her former castmates. In 2026, Lindsay Ridgeway is 40 years old. She played Morgan Matthews for 3 seasons. She did it well. And then, much like the character she played, she found a way to exist outside the spotlight. 2 girls, 1 role, and 1 question the show never answered on screen. Which Morgan was the real one? Number 3. Trina McGee as Angela Moore. This is the story of someone who joined the show late and, without even trying to, became one of its most important figures. Trina McGee was born on August 7, 1969, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was 28 when she joined the cast of Boy Meets World in Season 5 in 1997, as Angela Moore, Shawn Hunter's girlfriend. She was older than most of her castmates. She had already appeared on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And when she came onto the show, she brought something it needed, a different voice and a different perspective. What made Angela special was not just her romance with Shawn, it was what she represented within the story. She was a black woman on a series largely centered on white characters at a time when 1990s family television did not always handle representation with much care. She arrived, she stayed, and her relationship with Shawn became one of the most memorable emotional arcs of the later seasons. In 2021, McGee spoke openly about her experience on set. She said she endured microaggressions in an environment that was not always welcoming to her as a black woman. Danielle, Fishell, Ryder Strong, and Will Friedel publicly acknowledged her comments in the context of the Pod Meets World podcast. It was not a comfortable conversation, but it was an honest one. McGee appeared at the cast reunion panel at 90s Con in 2024. She remains a beloved presence among the people who grew up watching the show. In 2026, Trina McGee is 56 years old. Angela Moore was the character who arrived when the show needed to grow up. And the actress who played her had the courage, decades later, to speak honestly about what that experience actually meant to her. Some actors leave a mark through what they say on screen. Others do it through what they say after the cameras stop rolling. Number 4, Maitland Ward as Rachel McGuire. This is the story of someone who joined the show in its final stretch, became a familiar face to millions, and then made a decision that shocked the entire Boy Meets World fandom decades later. Maitland Ward was born on September 24, 1977, in Long Beach, California. She was 20 years old when she joined the cast in Season 6 in 1998 as Rachel McGuire, a college student who becomes the roommate of Eric Matthews and Jack Hunter. She arrived at a moment when the show was looking for new dynamics for its characters in the college setting. Rachel was not the center of the story, but she had what strong supporting characters always need: easy chemistry with people the audience already knew, and an energy that made viewers pay attention. She remained through the final 2 seasons, all the way to the show's ending in 2000. But the Maitland Ward story nobody saw coming began years later. In 2019, Ward announced that she was beginning a career in the adult entertainment industry. The decision stunned the show's fan community. For many people, Rachel McGuire was inseparable from the image of Boy Meets World, and suddenly, the woman who played that role was taking one of the most unexpected paths any actor from the Disney ABC universe could take. What followed was complicated. Ward spoke about feeling objectified by producers during her time on the show. In February 2025, she appeared as a guest on Pod Meets World with Danielle, Fishell, Ryder Strong, and Will Friedel. The conversation turned into a direct confrontation between Ward and Fishell. Years of tension came spilling out in public. Ward later said she felt the meeting had been orchestrated. In 2026, Maitland Ward is 48 years old. She has published a memoir and spoken extensively about her experiences in Hollywood. Her story is complicated, controversial, and deeply human. Exactly the kind of story Boy Meets World always tried to tell, even if it never imagined telling one like this. Number 5. Matthew Lawrence as Jack Hunter. This is the story of the brother who arrived late, was welcomed by everyone, and built something that outlasted what the show originally gave him. Matthew Lawrence was born on February 11, 1980, in Abington, Pennsylvania. He was 17 when he joined the cast of Boy Meets World in Season 5 in 1997 as Jack Hunter, Shawn's older half-brother and Eric Matthews' college roommate. He was the younger brother of Joey Lawrence, one of the most recognizable teen stars of the 1990s. The Lawrence family was a child acting dynasty, and Matthew came to the show with that mix of name recognition and determination to make his own place. Jack Hunter was not the lead, but he had what good supporting characters need: a real narrative purpose beyond just filling space. His relationship with Eric became one of the most beloved dynamics of the college seasons. His love triangle with Rachel and Eric added real tension to a cast that needed new layers. What makes his later story interesting is how honestly he has spoken about the show. In 2024, Before appearing as a guest on Pod Meets World, Lawrence admitted he had not rewatched Boy Meets World since filming ended in 2000. When he revisited it for the podcast, he said he was surprised by how well it had aged. He still keeps in touch with former castmates. He attends conventions. He remains part of the fan universe Boy Meets World built, and he continues acting. In 2026, Matthew Lawrence is 46 years old. Jack Hunter came in to fill a space and stayed as part of something that still is not over. Number 6, Anthony Tyler Quinn as Jonathan Turner. This is the teacher who was not Feeny, and in the world of Boy Meets World, that was a more complicated role than it seemed. Anthony Tyler Quinn was born on October 6, 1964, in San Francisco, California. He joined the cast in Season 2 in 1994 as Jonathan Turner, the young English teacher who becomes a father figure to Shawn Hunter. When Shawn's home life starts falling apart, he was young for a teacher on television, he rode a motorcycle, and he represented something Mr. Feeny could not: the possibility that a younger adult might actually understand what it feels like to be a teenager. His relationship with Shawn Hunter became one of the most emotional arcs of the show's middle years. But in Season 4, Turner was involved in a motorcycle accident at the end of an episode. The scene was intense, emotionally powerful, and viewers expected closure. But Turner never returned in any regular way. The character disappeared without the writers ever giving him a clear ending. Years later, when Ryder Strong, Danielle Fishell, and Friedel revisited the show episode by episode on Pod Meets World, this became one of the most debated moments of all. What happened to Turner? No resolution, no explanation. One of those narrative choices 1990s television often made without thinking about the consequences. Quinn appeared at the cast reunion panel at 90s Con in 2024. He remains a beloved figure among fans of the show. In 2026, Anthony Tyler Quinn is 61 years old. The teacher almost no one remembers as vividly as Mr. Feeny was, for many viewers, the adult who felt the most like one of them. Number 7, Friedel as Eric Matthews. This is the older brother who began as the cool, popular guy, and gradually became one of the most beloved and unexpectedly complex characters in the entire series. Friedel was born on August 11, 1976, in Hartford, Connecticut. He was 16 when he began playing Eric Matthews in the pilot episode in September 1993. In the early seasons, Eric was everything Cory wanted to be: handsome, popular, effortlessly successful with girls, moving through high school with a kind of ease Cory could not even imagine. But something remarkable happened over the course of 7 seasons. Eric stopped being just the cool older brother. He evolved into something stranger, funnier, more human, and paradoxically more profound. The college years turned him into a character wrestling with his own limits, his academic failures, and the question of what you are supposed to do when you are the older sibling and the world turns out to be harder than you expected. Friedel played him with brilliant physical comedy, but there was always real emotion underneath it. After Boy Meets World, his career took a path that surprised a lot of people. He became one of the most prolific voice actors of his generation. He played Terry McGinnis, the future Batman, in Batman Beyond, Warner Brothers' iconic animated series. He also voiced Ron Stoppable in Disney's Kim Possible. His voice career was extensive and successful, built quietly and far away from the kind of attention on-screen actors usually attract. Friedel also spoke openly on Pod Meets World about something not every actor talks about: the severe anxiety he experienced during and after his Boy Meets World years. The pressure of the set, public life at a young age, the expectations of the industry. He did not hide it. He said it plainly. In 2026, Friedel is 49 years old. Alongside Danielle Fishell and Ryder Strong, he is part of the team keeping the show's legacy alive through the Pod Meets World podcast and the documentary Doc Meets World, presented at the 2026 Tribeca Festival. In February 2025, he confirmed that Ben Savage still was not speaking to any of them. No explanation, no answer. Eric Matthews was always the one who kept trying. And in real life, Friedel turns out to be exactly the same. Number 8, Ben Savage as Cory Matthews. This is the story of the middle kid, the one who was the absolute center of everything, and who one day decided to stop talking to the others without telling anyone why. Ben Savage was born on September 13, 1980, in Chicago, Illinois. His full name is Bennett Joseph Savage. He was 12 years old when he filmed the Boy Meets World pilot in 1993. Cory Matthews was him, a sixth-grade kid from Philadelphia trying to make sense of the world with the help of his best friend Shawn, his girlfriend Topanga, and the endless wisdom of Mr. Feeny. And for 7 years, that was his world. Savage quite literally grew up in front of the audience, from age 12 to 19, from the start of middle school to college graduation. He was the younger brother of actor Fred Savage, known for The Wonder Years, two brothers, two iconic family TV shows, two generations of fans who followed them with devotion. But what happened after the show is what makes his story the strangest of the cast. After Boy Meets World, Savage attended Stanford University, where he earned a degree in political science in 2004. Not the typical path for a former teen TV star. He returned to entertainment with occasional appearances in the years that followed, including Girl Meets World, the sequel series that ran from 2014 to 2017 on Disney Channel, where he reprised the role of Cory Matthews as an adult. Then came politics. Savage ran for West Hollywood City Council in 2022. He lost. In 2023, he ran in the California 30th congressional primary. He did not advance. His last on-camera role was in a Lifetime movie in 2022, and at some point around 2020, he stopped responding to messages from his former castmates. Danielle Fishell, Ryder Strong, and Friedel mentioned it publicly in 2023. There was no fight, no specific incident. Ben simply stopped being available. In February 2025, Friedel confirmed that Savage still was not speaking to any of them. Ben has never commented publicly on the matter. In May 2025, Savage announced on Instagram that he and his wife, Tessa Angermeyer, whom he married in February 2023, were expecting their first child later that year. A new life, a new chapter. In 2026, Ben Savage is 45 years old. The star of one of the most beloved shows of the 1990s, the boy whose doubts and mistakes and love story reflected an entire generation, chose a path completely different from the one taken by his castmates. There are no easy answers for that, but one thing is true. Cory Matthews never would have done that. Cory Matthews always came back to Shawn, and maybe that distance between the character and the person is the most honest thing Ben Savage has told us in years. Number 9, Danielle Fishell as Topanga Lawrence. This is the story of the girl who was never supposed to have the role. The girl who, according to legend, was nearly fired by the show's creator during her very first week, and who ended up becoming the reason millions of people still believe in Friday Night Love. Danielle Fishell was born on May 5, 1981, in Mesa, Arizona. She was 11 years old when she debuted as Topanga Lawrence in the 4th episode of Boy Meets World's first season, in October 1993. Topanga was not in the pilot script. She arrived later, an eccentric, unusual girl from Cory's class whom the producers decided to include almost by accident. But Michael Jacobs, the show's creator, had doubts about Fishell from the beginning. According to stories the actress herself shared decades later, Jacobs threatened to fire her during her first week of filming. Something was not clicking for him yet. Something did not feel right. What saved Danielle Fishell was that one thing absolutely was working: her chemistry with Ben Savage. That intangible thing that makes two people on screen feel like they have known each other forever. There was no technical explanation for it. It was either real or it was not. And it was real. Over the course of 7 seasons, Topanga Lawrence evolved from the weird girl in the neighborhood into the emotional center of the show, Cory's great love, the anchor, the person who, in the world of Boy Meets World, represented certainty in the middle of teenage chaos. After the show, Fishell continued acting on and off. She returned as Topanga in Girl Meets World, where the character had become a mother. She married producer Jensen Karp, and they have 2 children. Then, in 2022, she launched Pod Meets World with Ryder Strong and Friedel, an episode-by-episode rewatch podcast that became one of the year's most listened to shows, and a cultural phenomenon for millennials across America. But 2024 brought something no one on the podcast expected. In October 2024, Danielle Fishell publicly revealed that she had been diagnosed with DCIS, an early form of breast cancer, stage 0. It was caught in time thanks to preventive screening. According to Fishell herself, the first people outside her family to find out were Ryder Strong and Friedel, her Boy Meets World castmates. She had surgery, she kept going, she kept recording, she kept being Topanga Lawrence in the podcast universe. In November 2025, she appeared as a contestant on season 34 of Dancing with the Stars, dancing with choreographer Pasha Pashkov. Strong and Friedel publicly defended her when they felt the judges were not giving her enough credit, exactly the way Cory and Shawn would have defended Topanga. In 2026, Danielle Fishell is 44 years old. Alongside her castmates, she presented the documentary Doc Meets World at the Tribeca Festival, a film documenting the cast reunion and the nationwide tour they took together. Topanga Lawrence was the character who was never supposed to exist, the one who nearly got cut before the show finished its first week. And Danielle Fishell made sure that character not only existed, but became the reason millions of people still know what it means when someone says, "You're my Topanga." Number 10. Ryder Strong as Shawn Hunter. Here is the truth that takes time to realize. The best friend was actually the most complex character on the show, and the actor who played him turned out decades later to be one of the most ambitious of them all. Ryder Strong was born on December 11, 1979, in San Francisco, California. His full name is Ryder King Strong. He was 13 when he debuted as Shawn Hunter in the Boy Meets World pilot in 1993. Shawn was Cory's best friend, the kid from the other side of the tracks, the boy whose family was falling apart while Cory stayed intact, the boy who could be charming and self-destructive at the exact same time, often within the same episode. And here is what made Shawn Hunter different from most best friend characters in 1990s family television. The show never simplified him. Absent father, mother who left, raised in a trailer park, the temptation to join a cult, the possibility of leaving and never coming back. Boy Meets World took Shawn Hunter seriously, and Ryder Strong took him just as seriously. Strong began his career at age 9, when he was cast as Gavroche in a San Francisco production of Les Miserables. He was not just a commercial child actor, he was someone with training, intention, and a real understanding of what it meant to inhabit a character. After Boy Meets World, he deepened that foundation. He studied at Columbia University in New York. He became a writer, director, and screenwriter. He co-wrote and directed Irish Twins with his brother Shiloh. It premiered at the Tribeca Festival in 2008 and won several independent festival awards. He returned to the franchise as a director on Girl Meets World, which received an Emmy nomination. In 2022, he co-created Pod Meets World with Danielle Fishell and Friedel. It was his idea. A podcast that brought 3 actors from the 1990s back to the series that made them famous, revisiting it episode by episode with an adult honesty the original show could never quite have. He is married to producer Alexandra Barreto. In 2026, he is 46 years old and preparing to launch The Red Weather, an audio crime series that he writes, directs, and stars in, produced by iHeartMedia. And alongside Fishell and Friedel, he presented Doc Meets World at the Tribeca Festival, the documentary capturing the nationwide tour they made with fans of an entire generation. Shawn Hunter was the kid nobody expected that much from. Ryder Strong made sure to prove that was always the biggest mistake anyone could make about him. Number 11, William Daniels as George Feeny. And finally, we arrive at the one everyone was waiting for. Not because he is the most famous member of the cast, not because he generated the most headlines, but because in 2026, William Daniels is 99 years old, and he has just joined Cameo. If that does not tell you everything you need to know about who this man is, keep reading. William David Daniels was born on March 31st, 1927, in Brooklyn, New York. He was 65 when he first appeared as George Feeny in the Boy Meets World pilot in September 1993. Mr. Feeny was the Matthews family's teacher and neighbor, the man who literally lived on the other side of Cory's backyard fence, and who, week after week, delivered the wisdom the show needed in order to stay honest. But What makes William Daniels' story extraordinary is everything that came before. Before Mr. Feeny, Daniels had already built a 4-decade career. He appeared in The Graduate in 1967 alongside Dustin Hoffman. He won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for playing Dr. Mark Craig and St. Elsewhere, the acclaimed 1980s medical drama. He voiced Kit, the intelligent car on Knight Rider, from 1982 to 1986. He worked in theater alongside figures as legendary as Marlon Brando. By the time he arrived on the set of Boy Meets World, he was already a legend. The young actors around him knew it, and he treated them exactly the way Mr. Feeny treated his students, with discipline, with respect, and with the certainty that they deserved to learn from someone who had seen more of the world than they had. Ryder Strong said in an interview years later that Daniels taught them by example. When the younger cast members were fooling around, running late, or showing up without knowing their lines, he was there, punctual, prepared, professional. And in a quiet way, that set the standard for everybody. Daniels was in every season of the show. He appeared in Girl Meets World. He still attends fan conventions. He has a Cameo account where he sends personalized messages to fans using a line that has transcended almost every possible context. Class dismissed. He has been married since June 30th, 1951, to actress Bonnie Bartlett, who also appeared on Boy Meets World as Dean Lila Bolander. 75 years of marriage. According to multiple reports published in 2026, it is the longest active marriage in Hollywood history. On October 14th, 2025, at age 98, he made a surprise appearance on Dancing with the Stars, while Danielle Fishell was competing. On March 31st, 2026, he turned 99. He celebrated with homemade pasta, still his favorite meal, surrounded by family. He still works out twice a week with a personal trainer alongside Bonnie. To stay young, he says the secret is to keep moving, do things you enjoy, and find some kind of exercise you genuinely like. That, and listen to your teacher. The last line of the final episode of Boy Meets World belonged to Mr. Feeny. The whole audience held its breath. And what he said does not need to be repeated here, because if you saw that episode, you still carry it somewhere inside you. Not as a memory from a TV show, but as something you felt and never fully knew how to explain. In 2026, William Daniels is 99 years old, the only actor who could ever have delivered that final line in exactly that way. And he is still not done. And now, tell us in the comments, who was your favorite Boy Meets World character? Eric, the older brother who never stopped trying? Topanga, the girl who nearly got cut and became the heart of the whole story? Shawn, the boy nobody expected much from, who turned out to be the deepest character of them all? Or Mr. Feeny, the neighbor who taught you more about life in 7 seasons than most real teachers ever did?